You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one.
Donald Trump has successfully moved the Overton window in a way that is as dangerous for the future of democracy in this country as anything else.
This is what Vout and Project 2025 wanted.
Newsom is he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
They control the Congress, they control the White House, and they control the courts. And so, of course, they're massively overreaching. And yes, they are getting away with it right now.
This is clearly a man who cannot tolerate criticism of him or what he does, which is exactly what authoritarianism is all about.
The New York Times is just as fake as CNN and MSDNC. They really are the enemy of the people.
What he is saying, rather bluntly, if you stand up to Donald Trump, he will punish you.
Protesters in Philadelphia, state capitals in California, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, and others showed up to oppose Trump, Musk, and Project 2025.
The US and President Trump has overseen America's largest military parade in decades as nationwide protests take place against his leadership.
Demonstrations are happening right across the United States today to oppose the Trump administration.
Two visions of America. On a day the country's deepening divide was there for all the world to see.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I am your host, Jeff Waldorf. Welcome to Logically Left. Look, man, it's the start of a new week, and we have plenty of disaster to get through. So, unfortunately, nothing all that good. We have Trump's insane boast about how much he lowered drug prices. Well, he didn't lower drug prices, and so I'm going to get into the details of all of that stuff and how somebody could actually really lower drug prices. Oh, interesting. So we also have the quota for how many people ICE wants to arrest and deport. What's going on there? Well, it turns out that the quota is now being, they're walking back from it. They're walking back from the quota. So, yeah. Oh, no, yeah, we don't have a quota. What quota? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like cops saying that they don't have a quota either. Nobody believes you. You're lying. You're lying out your ass. Okay, so there's that. We have the Smithsonian. It did a little bit of a U-turn on their removal of the Trump impeachment exhibit. So, look, they got called out for that. And now, I guess apparently they're putting it back, but they're going to do it later. All right, so we'll get into that drama. All sorts of fun stuff there. And then the Trump administration is now dangling student debt relief in front of people, but only if they join ICE. Yeah. So that is something. That is something. So look, a lot of disaster today. It's only Monday, the start of the week, but we're in it. So let's do it. Before I get into the story, so please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Want to make sure to get the information out to everyone, just to everyone. Okay, even look. I know MAGA people are pretty resistant to factual information, but there are people that need to know. Okay, people need to know. Yeah, no, he said he lowered drug prices 1,400 to 1,500%. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But again, please support the show, support the stream, and you could do that. But again, by becoming a member or by sharing or both. Preferably both. But Only do what you can do. Okay. All right. So let's do it. We'll start out with that story. We got some alternative math going on here. President Donald Trump is claiming that he has lowered prescription drug prices to an absurd degree.
Well, one of the things they're going to be talking about pretty soon are the tremendous drop in drug prices. We've cut drug prices by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500%. I don't mean 50%. I mean 1,400, 1,500%.
So wait. We've cut drug prices by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, and 1,500%. And he was very clear to say, I don't mean 50%. No. I mean 1,500%. The drug companies are literally paying you to take the drugs off their hands. That's how well of a job I've done. Really? Now, later on, the escaped dementia patient that is now running the country said, quote, "We'll be dropping drug prices. It'll start over the next 2 to 3 months." Wait, I thought we already did that. By 1,200, 1,300, and even 1,400% and 500%. Whoa! Then it just went right back. Whoa, wait. So have we or will we? Will we cut drug prices? I don't know. Like, the answer, of course, to that question is neither. We're not doing either of those things. We have not lowered drug prices, and we will not lower drug prices. I mean, it's just insane. Come on. Look, I'm sure you're all smart people, okay? So I'm sure you're all aware that if you reduce the price of something by more than 100%, it would mean that it would be not only free, but the company is paying you to take it. I picked up my medication today. It was not free, and I sure as hell did not get paid to take it. Nobody gave me money. I gave them money. So, I mean, obviously, he's lying in the most absurd way imaginable. Absurd. Just ridiculous. Look, here's what he also said, by the way. Quote, "We want the same prices Europe gets. We want the same prices other country gets." Well, good news. Good news. There's a way to do it, but guess what? You ain't gonna like it, Trump. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that Europe has cheaper drugs and better healthcare, and as a result, higher life expectancy, is because of this one trick that insurance companies hate, which is nationalizing healthcare, kicking out the insurance companies. Told you you'd hate it. Oh, we understand. The people in Europe, they pay higher taxes. Yeah, and they actually get something for it. And by the way, rich people pay the highest amount of taxes. Okay. Look, the top rate in Denmark is 55.9%. Now, if you go back to the United States in the 50s and 60s, the highest marginal rate was 90% for taxes. We don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore at all. No. And by the way, in Denmark, which socialist country, right? More like democratic socialism, but anyway, their marginal rate is 5.9%, and it actually affects people making $120,000 a year. Okay. Now, this would land you in the top 10% of earners in Denmark. Okay. Now, to be in the top 1% in Denmark, you'd have to make around $300,000 per year. Now, in America, our 1% looks at that and says, "Oh, chump change. Chump change." Oh, look at them poor people in Denmark. Are they actually really happy, though? Yes, they're actually one of the most happiest countries on Earth. Yes. Look, the average Dane, by the way, pays about 46% of their income in taxes. And again, it's various federal, state, VAT, all that stuff, okay? Now, in return, of course, for paying such high taxes, they do get a lot of things there that we don't have here. For example, universal health care is one of the big ones, right? Child care, subsidized education, higher education included, paid parental leave, state pensions, housing allowances for renters, early retirement, elderly care, and so much more. And according to surveys, Danes think this is a great arrangement here. About 88% of Danes are happy to pay their taxes because of all the stuff they actually get. Yeah, they get stuff for their taxes. Imagine paying in when it comes to taxes and getting something in return that actually helps your life. Whoa. In America, we pay into taxes, and then they just use that money to buy more bombs. That's it, to drop on brown kids. Or to give the local, oil company giant handouts and subsidies. Billions of dollars. Okay? That's what we do with our tax money. So no wonder people, are not happy with that. I'm not happy with it. I would rather my taxes go, instead of buying bombs, to actually buying health care. And the cost of living is lower in Denmark as well, to be fair. Okay, the cost of living in the United States is extremely high, once again, because of rich people. And look, here's the other thing, right? Denmark has very little corruption in their government. Why is that? Well, they put in some very harsh punishments for anyone who engages in corruption, any elected official. And as such, with such low rates of corruption there, people tend to have, more trust in their government. Wouldn't that be nice? Sadly, we don't have that, and for good reason. What we have in leadership right now are people that are corrupt and lie in the most absurd ways. And then, of course, they fire people for actually telling the truth. That's right. On Friday, shortly after I did the segment about the really, really bad jobs report, Trump, well, he wasn't happy. There was probably ketchup and hamburgers all over the walls. And so, after that jobs report came out, so he fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's Commissioner Eric McIntyre. And that was, again, after the agency released a monthly jobs report that just didn't make Trump look good. Trump had accused her of, quote unquote, rigging the numbers to make him look bad. Where's your evidence for that? Oh, come on.
Just forget about the evidence.
There's no evidence. There is no evidence at all. They're not cooking the books that make Trump look bad. That's ridiculous. No, in reality, look, the economy is just not great. Not great at all. It's bad. But I guess now all the numbers coming from BLS in the future, they're going to be great. Did you know that for the August jobs report, President Trump, the greatest president ever, just created 11 billion jobs. That's right. So you can go out and get a job, and then your job can get a job, and your kid can get a job, your dog can get a job, your cat can get a job. Everybody can get a job because there's jobs for everybody. All the time, everywhere. Jobs, jobs, jobs is all. You can't go outside without tripping over a job. I mean, sure, that's, most people would call that a rake, but you know what I call that? I call that a job. That's right. It's a job. Best jobs president ever. I mean, we're living in madness. In absolute, utter madness. Look, the economy is not doing great, and a lot of it is because of the Trump tariffs. Yeah. And so, look, drug prices, getting back to that, they're not going down. They're going to go up, and they have been going up. And look, here's the thing. The solution. His solution, Trump's solution for the drug prices, was to ask the companies nicely to lower their prices. Oh, hey, drug companies, can you just do me a solid and stop making as much money? What? You think that's gonna work? You think that's gonna work? Oh, well, hey, look, if they don't, then I might have to look into doing a rule-making plan. That's right, to impose the most favored nation pricing. What? Okay. No. Look, according to Joseph Antos, a healthcare policy senior fellow with a conservative group, the American Enterprise Institute, he said that Trump's order back in May, quote, hopes that manufacturers will unilaterally lower U.S. prices. That they'll just do it because, we're feeling nice today. That's not how things work. That is not how capitalism works. Okay. No, they're not going to do anything. Okay, so what happens if these companies decide, you know what? No, we would rather actually keep making money. Lots and lots of money. Okay. Even though, by the way, if they did lower their prescription drug prices, they would still be profitable. They'd still make money. They just wouldn't make obscene amounts of money. Well, what would happen if they don't? Nothing. Antos noted that the legal authority to intervene in the market is unclear if this implausible scenario doesn't happen. So, yeah, you just take it from the conservative American Enterprise Institute that knows that, don't worry about it, guys. Ain't nothing going to happen, okay? Drug prices will continue to rise, and so will corporate profits. That's it. Look, nothing's going to get cheaper. It's going to get more expensive. But, Trump's just going to go out there and lie about it. So it'll be okay. And just like he'll lie about the jobs numbers. And you know why he'll do that? Because no one will call him out on it. That's right. No one's going to call him out on it. At least not on, Fox News or anything like that. And too many of his fans, they're going to believe whatever lies spew forth from his, pursed little butthole mouth. Okay? That's what's going to happen. And you know why? Because they are a cult. MAGA is a cult. And cults, they never worry about these pesky little things called facts. They don't have to worry about it because, once again,
Just forget about the evidence.
Forget about what your lying eyes and ears see and hear. Just only listen to what the cult leader is telling you. Because that's the most important rule of being in a cult. Okay, anyway. I'm in a mood, and you can all tell I'm in a mood today. Moving on. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials have quietly denied having a quota. 3,000 deportations a day. Or I should say arrests and deportations. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. So this happened during a court hearing after federal judges had pressed the administration for details about that figure. This was happening last week. The contradiction came in a lawsuit alleging that the intense pressure to make more arrests and deportations has led ICE to do illegal things in LA. Oh, you don't say. Doing illegal things. ICE? Oh, well, never. Oh, that would never do that. Oh, except that they did. Now, Washington-based Judge Gia Cobb, a Biden appointee, said the figure when she ruled Friday that the administration's expansion of expedited deportation proceedings had violated the law. Judge Trina Thompson, a Biden appointee in San Francisco, also cited the goal Thursday when she blocked the administration's bid to end the temporary protected status for tens of thousands of Nicaraguan, Honduran, and Nepali migrants. All right? So that's one of the things that this regime has been doing, okay? In order to pump up those arrest and deportation numbers, they said they were going to go after the criminals, right? They said they're going to go after the criminals and they were going to go after the illegals, right? So how are they doing that? Well, obviously, as I've said before, there are not enough criminal alien immigrants in this country for them to hit that 3,000 a day, okay? I mean, no, there's just not that many. There is not that many. In fact, immigrants actually commit less crimes than native-born American citizens. So to think that, oh, yeah, we're going to remove millions of these people, millions, of criminal, illegal aliens from this country is just pure fantasy. Pure fantasy. And they have had to, and they've had to admit that. Admit that it's fantasy. Now, the thing, though, is what they're trying to do is they're trying to focus now like, okay, oh, well, we're going to get rid of the illegals, right? Well, how are they doing that? By making these groups of people under temporary protected status, they're making them illegal by taking away their legal ability to be here, to work here, for no reason whatsoever. They're not taking it away from people who are criminals. They're just taking it away from people who are immigrants, making them illegal, and then justifying their crackdown against these groups. If you don't see that, then, I mean, I think that you're willfully blind. You don't want to see it. You don't want to see it. But anyway, getting back to the court, right? As a result of all the challenges against ICE on these grounds, the Justice Department was like, quota? What quota? No, I don't have a quota. What are you talking about? We don't have a quota at all. In fact, here is a DHS spokesperson saying this, quote, DHS has confirmed that neither ICE leadership nor its field offices have been directed to meet any numerical quota or target for arrests, detentions, removals, field encounters, or any other operational activities that ICE or its components undertake in the course of enforcing federal immigration law. And I'm sorry, that's actually a Justice Department attorney, not a spokesperson. So it's one of their lawyers saying, a quota? What quota? We don't have a quota. Hey, you guys, you lying leftists. Yeah, you're just making things up. Nobody said anything about a quota, especially like 3,000 people. You're nuts. You're nuts. There is no quota.
So you and Kristi Noem are pushing for 3,000 a day, but you're also going to fortify ICE. And the one big beautiful bill, my understanding is with at least $147 billion more for them to accomplish that goal.
Under President Trump's leadership, we are looking to set a goal of a minimum of 3,000 arrests for ICE every day, and President Trump is going to keep pushing to get that number up higher each and every single day.
Whoopsie.
Did we say that? Did Stephen Miller go out there and say 3,000 a day, if not more? Because Trump's going to be pushing for more. Whoops. That's awkward. That's really, that's really kind of awkward, isn't it? Yeah. Now, White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson, when she was asked, did not directly respond to any questions about the discrepancy between Miller's comments, which were made a while ago on Hannity's show, and the administration's position in court. Quote, the Trump administration is committed to carrying out the largest mass deportation operation in history by enforcing federal immigration law and removing the countless violent, criminal, illegal aliens that Joe Biden let flood into the American communities. Wow, okay. Okay, Abigail. A Justice Department spokesperson also said that there's no disconnect between the DOJ's court filings and the White House's public statements. The entire Trump administration is united in fully enforcing our nation's immigration laws, and the DOJ continues to play an important role in vigorously defending the president's deportation agenda in court, said a DOJ spokesperson. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Jeez, Lord mercy, dude. So here's the thing about that, okay? So I know you're all aware that in court, there is this little thing that they have to do called presenting evidence, okay? So, yes, if they make a claim in court, they have to back it up. And now that is something that they don't have to do on TV, which means that on television, they can say one thing, they can say whatever they want, but they have to, when they go to court, they actually have to tell the truth. They're forced to tell the truth. And a good example of that is during the whole voter fraud allegation thing in 2020. So, look, Trump administration officials, or I should say not administration officials, but, Trump people, Trump himself, would go on television and they say, oh my God, there's fraud everywhere. There's fraud. Rigged election. I can't believe Joe Biden stole the election, guys. He stole it. He personally stole it, changed all the votes and everything. Oh my God. But then when they were challenging the election in court, all of their lawyers, all of their legal teams kept saying this. Oh, this is not a fraud case. We're not here to argue fraud. And you know why? It's because they had to present evidence and they didn't have any. They had nothing, no evidence to prove fraud. And so now they're doing the same thing. They're playing the same playbook here. When they're arguing, defending themselves in court, they're saying evidence. No, we don't have a quota. We don't have a quota. What are you talking about? We never said anything about a quota. Except that there are numerous examples of Stephen Miller saying, yeah, we definitely are going to push for these numbers. That is a quota, 3,000 a day. Yeah. This is a great example of why Trump hates the courts so much. Because when it comes to court, you can't just lie while in court like he does on TV and then get away with it. Look, in the courts right now, the administration is fighting an order that a federal judge had issued last month, which prohibits ICE from conducting roving immigration arrests based on, racial profiling. Okay? And that's what they're doing. They're racially profiling people. When the Ninth Circuit ruled Friday night, leaving that order largely intact, the judges kept going back to Miller's statements, okay, and saying, well, then what was that whole quota thing? I mean, the DOJ is denying that you have a quota, but then you've got Stephen Miller who was saying we've got a quota here. So which one is it? Is it true that you have a quota or is it not true? What's the truth here? What's the truth here? The administration, it's very, very clear that they're trying to back out now of having a quota when it comes to defending it in court. And they're failing miserably at doing so. I wish more people would pay attention to this, especially Trump fans, okay? Because they're clearly being lied to. But because of how brainwashed a lot of them are, or how little attention they actually do pay to this stuff, they'll never know just how badly they are being lied to support what is essentially fascism. And there you go. All right, moving on. Let me go to, I want to do the student debt relief story next. I feel like that's more topical to what's going on. Flows a little bit better. If you're like the many students that are, and former students that are suffering from the crushing effects of student debt, the Trump regime has a job for you. Join the Gestapo. I kid you not. Last week, the Department of Homeland Security announced that it will begin offering student loan forgiveness and repayment options to new ICE agents, along with a $50,000 signing bonus. Wow. This announcement comes as the Trump administration works to limit the public service loan forgiveness program for groups that the president, doesn't like. That's right. That's the reality of the situation. He doesn't like these groups. And so, loan forgiveness. We're not going to forgive your loans. Now, since 2007, borrowers employed by the government or nonprofit organizations serving a wide range of public interest causes have been eligible through forgiveness using the PSLF. However, back in July, last month, the Department of Education began to alter the deal, altering the rules, changing the rules to exclude certain employers in accordance with Trump's executive order, restoring public service loan forgiveness. Now, this order claimed that the loan forgiveness has misdirected tax dollars into activist organizations that not only fail to serve the public interest, but actively harm our national security and American values, sometimes through criminal means. That is one hell of a statement. They're hurting national security and our American values. And they're criminal. What? Where's the evidence for that?
Just forget about the evidence.
Trust us, bro. Trust us. We just don't like them, okay? Under the revised rules, nonprofits, and this is very, very clear when you look at the groups that are being targeted here. One group that helps transgender youth access gender-affirming care, going to get cut off. Not only that, but attorneys who provide legal assistance to undocumented immigrants also being cut off. It's according to a press release from the Department of Education. Of course. So, it's very, very obvious what's going on here. Experts in higher education and student debt told The Intercept that the administration is deploying their financial aid system as a tool to advance their political agenda, punish perceived enemies, and to reward allies. In fact, Persis Yu, Deputy Executive Director and Managing Counsel at the Student Borrower Protection Center, said this, quote, "This just shows the length the Trump administration will go to weaponize public service loan forgiveness and debt more broadly to achieve their fascist objectives." Yeah. And look, this isn't surprising to me. It shouldn't be surprising to you, given the history of student debt. In this country. Student debt has been weaponized since the Reagan administration in order to help their political friends and punish their political enemies. Look, for example, amid nationwide campus protests against Vietnam, then California Governor Ronald Reagan and his allies had slashed the budget for public education, forcing them to charge tuition. These are for colleges. They argue that the students had become too radical. Roger A. Freeman, who is Reagan's education advisor, said this, quote, "We are in danger of producing an educated proletariat. That's dynamite." And he doesn't mean it in a good way. Especially, we have to be selective on who we allow to be educated, meaning rich people. Okay. The children of rich people, ones who are not going to upset the status quo. Non-minorities. Those are the people that they want to get educated. They do not want educated minorities. And they do not want people who will challenge the status quo. I mean,
oh my God, he admitted.
It's right there. We don't want educated workers because educated workers, well, I mean, they're harder to control. They're harder to control. So we're going to load them up with debt to make sure that we can control them. That's what it has always been about. It's not about being responsible. No, a responsible country would ensure that students have the resources available to become the next, generation of workers, next generation of business owners, to actually make this country better. They don't want that. They don't want this country to be better. They want this country to be worse. They want workers to be controlled, easily controlled. And what's one of the main drivers of doing that? Debt. Debt makes people desperate, and that makes them easier to be taken advantage of, easier to control them. Okay? That's always what it's been about. Always, always. They are following, the Trump administration is following that playbook. And by the way, one of the other reasons why this government, and I'm talking about all the Democratic and Republican administrations over the years since Ronald Reagan, since they defunded public universities and started doing the tuition model. One of the major reasons that it continued like that is because the military loved using that as a recruitment tool. Okay? Targeting, once again, minorities with student debt, or people that didn't have the means to be able to afford to go to college. Targeting them and saying, well, if you join the military and murder people overseas in our wars for profit, we will pay for your education. How about that? Or we'll not leave you with as much debt. It's absolutely sickening. And look, this administration just continues to follow that playbook, only even more so, even more blatantly, okay? Now, that's the thing. They're doing this after they did everything they could to crush other ways of being able to afford student loans or to get some sort of relief from the crushing debt. They had the Supreme Court, which paused the SAVE plan, the income-based repayment plan implemented by the Biden administration, which, again, look, I don't think it went far enough, especially their efforts to try to do student loan relief. But, I mean, you can't argue that they didn't try. They did put that forward. They were going to help with some of student loan debt. They should have went for broke and tried to cancel it all, but they didn't because that's, normal Democrat incompetence for you. So, look, they still tried to do something, and it was still too much for Republicans who crushed it. The Supreme Court who crushed it. Okay? Look, not only that, but after the Supreme Court put a stop on it, Trump's big, beautiful bill eliminated it. And that's it. They eliminated it. Got rid of it. As of July 1st, it will be completely gone. And of course, there will be some repayment options, but they'll be terrible. And that's kind of the point. On Friday, the Department of Education also resumed charging interest on their SAVE plan loans. So, on top of that, spending bill also created new limits on federal borrowing for graduate students and parents taking out loans on behalf of their kids, meaning families and people attending higher cost educational programs such as medical school will likely have to take up even higher interest private loans, which I'm sure just delights Wall Street. They're licking their chops. They're like, oh, yes, we're going to get so much money from interest. It's going to be great. I mean, it's going to be terrible for our country, but it's going to be great for us, our pocketbooks. That's all we care about. So there's that. Sarah Partridge, Associate Director of Higher Education at the Center for American Progress, said, as a result, quote, we're going to see a wave of defaults happening. And we're going to see more people who can't afford their payments. So let me just address young people, right? The young people who voted for Trump specifically. Those people who thought, oh man, everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be so much better. My economic future is going to be awesome with Trump. He's going to do all the great things. It's going to help us. We're going to get good jobs, and the price of housing is going to go down and all that stuff. Nope. None of that's happening. And in fact, you're going to be paying more. So, I mean, do you feel good yet? Do you feel like you're winning? I'm pretty sure you don't. Because ain't nobody winning unless you're incredibly wealthy already. That's the reality of the situation. And to be fair, a lot of those Gen Z people who voted for Donald Trump, even though we were screaming from the rooftops, they're millennial elders who are so uncool. Because we're absolutely uncool, yeah. We were telling you the whole time, hey, don't vote for the dipshit. Don't vote for the moron. Okay, this guy, he's lying to you. He is lying. He does nothing but lie. No, he's not going to end the wars. No, he's not going to stop the genocide in Gaza. No, he's not going to lower the price of eggs or groceries. He's not going to do any of that. He's going to take all the money and put it in his pocket. And that's what he's doing. And to put it in the pocket of the rich. That's exactly what he was going to do, what we told you he was going to do, and then he fucking did it. Do you feel stupid? Because you should, because he lied to you. I'm not saying the Democrats have been able to offer something better. No, that's one of my biggest criticisms of the Democrats, is they don't offer anything better, and they haven't been offering any significant resistance to Donald Trump. But Trump, if you voted for him, I mean, and you actually believe that stuff, and you're taken for a ride. And you know what? We're all along for that ride. We're in the trunk right now, okay? The rest of the country, we're in the trunk. While this car is careening right off the side of a freaking cliff. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, okay. Look, you say, oh, all right, look, no need to be salty, guys. Yeah, okay, we're witnessing the end of our democracy, fascism that's here, the bankrupting of, regular people. I think I've got the right to have a little bit of salt here. Just a little bit. A little grain here and there. All right, I think we all have the right to be a bit salty, okay? But hey, look, I guess now if you want to escape the crippling debt from your student loans, all you have to do is just become a member of the Trump Gestapo. I mean, one of the agencies, okay, one of the parts of the government that actually didn't get cut but expanded was immigration. They got $170 billion thanks to the Republican bill. And so now, not only are we going to fund deportations, concentration camps, all that stuff, okay? But we're going to be funding more ICE. More ICE agents, like 10,000. I think they want to hire. So there you go. If you want to escape that debt, just, work for the Gestapo. Hey, and if you're not entirely comfortable for that, you want to see something, oh, that's okay. We'll throw in a bonus too. So that, you can forget your humanity. Hey, man, I got debt. What are you going to do? I can't afford to make my student loan payments, so I guess I'm just going to have to become a Nazi. That's what they want you to do. This is how desperate people can get sucked into doing terrible things. And no one is doing more terrible things right now than members of ICE. Will DePillar, senior vice president of Ed Trust, an education-focused nonprofit, said this, quote, "The Department of Education is effectively putting other people's cancellations on hold while fast-tracking this other group of folks who haven't done anything to warrant cancellation. To me, it's outrageous, and it shows where the priority of this administration is." Yeah, the priority is to go after immigrants. That's it. To scapegoat them, to assault them, to do crimes against humanity against them because they don't think of them as human. That is what the focus here is. It's racism. Plain and simple. Okay? I mean,
the Republican Party's racist.
Absolutely. Look, here's the thing. If and when we make it out of this, this is why we can't put things back to the way they were. That's not good enough. That's not going to cut it, okay? So for the Democrats that are like, we just need to return to normal. Not going to work. You know why? Because the way things were led us to where we are right now. It led us to Donald Trump. 2 Trump terms. I don't know, probably 3 Trump terms. Maybe 4 if they have their way. Look, we can't just fix these things. We've got to make things better. Unfortunately, in order to do that, we have to suffer through the mess that we're in right now. And then maybe, hopefully, make it out on the other side. And when we do make it out to the other side, which I intend to, I'm a survivor. Okay? Even when we do, well, then we've got a lot, and I mean a lot, of work to do. Okay. Do that Smithsonian story first. The Smithsonian Museum has been facing a lot of criticism, alleging that they have erased history. How so? Apparently, President Donald Trump's 2 impeachments have been removed from their history display. Earlier this summer, visitors to the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History noticed that the impeachment section of the exhibit, the American Presidency, had been reverted to its pre-2008 version. What does that mean? What? The exhibit simply states, now, only 3 presidents have seriously faced removal through the impeachment, referring to Andrew Johnson, Richard Nixon, and Bill Clinton. Now, you could look at that statement and say, well, it said seriously faced removal. You know, they were serious about it, which means what? That the 2 impeachments, one over January 6th, the insurrection, wasn't serious? Or maybe because it didn't work. Well, if you're looking at that part of the criteria, then why not get rid of the Clinton impeachment then? I mean, after all, Clinton, the impeachment against him didn't work. He didn't get removed. Okay. And really, it revolved around first, yes. Oh, water. What was it? There was something to do with property. But really, that didn't work out. It failed. So they immediately went to Clinton lied about getting a blowy under the Resolute desk. That's it. Well, that's what happened. Yep. We got to impeach him for that. Wait, what? I believe it was Whitewater, is what it was called. I was going to say Watergate, but no, that was Nixon. So, by the way, Nixon resign before being impeached because he would have been removed. But okay, so looking at Clinton, wait, that wasn't serious then, because again, it didn't work. So if that's the rule now, the Smithsonian is following, then I guess they're going to have to strike the Clinton impeachment. I mean, look, when we look at what happened, yes, the two impeachments against Trump, one was for January 6th, the other was for the Ukraine stuff. Yes, obviously Republicans now, they were not going to remove their own president. They just weren't. Okay, they weren't going to remove their own president. Maybe there are Democrats out there that seriously actually believe that Republicans would grow a conscience and vote for impeachment. Again, it would have happened to Nixon, and that would have involved, having bipartisanship, okay, in order to remove him. But nowadays, it doesn't work because the Republican Party is a cult. How many Republicans did vote for Trump's impeachment? Well, in the first one, you only had one on one count, and that was then Utah Senator Mitt Romney. On the second impeachment, 10 Republicans actually voted for impeachment to get rid of him. Of those 10, by the way, 8 of them are no longer in Congress. 8. They have been defeated by either primary challenges or just ended up having to quit. So there you go. Now, why did the Smithsonian try to get rid of this then? According to sources familiar with the exhibit who spoke to the Washington Post, the Trump White House had pressured them to do so. Spokesperson said the move was part of a broader review of legacy content, which the museum had agreed to conduct. This allegedly followed some political tension from the White House to remove portrait gallery director Kim Saget earlier this year. Now, of course, the Smithsonian's like, no, well, look, we're going to put it back, okay? We're going to put it back. Political stuff, no, we didn't actually remove it. We're going to put it back later. Oh, okay, sure. Now, look, a spokesperson talking about the exhibit said the section of this exhibition covers Congress, Supreme Court impeachment, and public opinion. Because the other topics in the section had not been updated since 2008, the decision was made to restore the impeachment case back to its 2008 appearance. So, once we get all the other stuff updated, then we'll update the impeachment stuff, maybe. Sure. All of this just smells like bullshit. No, look, the museum was clearly bowing to a fascist authoritarian who does not like being reminded that he was impeached twice. Only president to have undergone 2 impeachment hearings. This is Orwellian. Okay, the fact that they are trying to rewrite history to appease this guy. And this is just part of the problem with all of our institutions seemingly bending the knee to this fascist authoritarian. Along with the Smithsonian, again, who just did this U-turn on that. So maybe they're not going to do it after all because of the call-outs. But in addition, you have colleges, law firms, companies, big corporations, right? Like Meta and Google and all them. Paramount that wants to merge with other companies. These television networks, they're all rolling over. And it's sick to watch the absolute cowardice of these institutions, these companies. You know why? Because they're all doing it for money. They're all doing it for money. They'll go along with the fascism as long as they keep bringing in the cash. And that's something that has always been true. Okay? Companies, the wealthy, have always supported fascists when it comes to their money. Look at the companies that did business with the Nazis. IBM, Coca-Cola, Ford Motor Company. General Motors, Eastman Kodak, many others. In some cases, for example, GM and Ford had agreed to convert their German plants to making German war machines. When U.S. government documents showed that they were still resisting calls for military production at U.S. plants at home. Obviously, this was before the U.S. went to war, okay, had entered the war. So these companies totally cool with helping the German war machine. In fact, the head of GM at the time was not only an ardent opponent of the New Deal, progressive reforms, but he also admired and supported Adolf Hitler. And that just shows you, business leaders will always support fascists over progressives every single goddamn time. And it shouldn't be forgotten, shouldn't be forgiven. Even the Associated Press at the time had supplied images for a Nazi propaganda book called Jews in the USA, and another titled The Subhuman. I mean, come on. The news agency had even reached a formal agreement with the Nazi regime to hire propagandists as reporters. So, is anybody at all surprised that businesses and big institutions that rely on federal funding are bending to what is now the modern Nazi movement? I'm not. You shouldn't be either. The Smithsonian bending the knee to Trump is just the latest example of this very long and depressing trend. And some U.S. businesses made deals with Germany even after the U.S. entered the war. That is also true, yes. I think one of the members of the Bush family or the Koch family had those deals with Nazis. So you're right about that. Okay. One more story here. Pick on Marjorie Greene. That's not Marjorie Greene.
We'll do it live!
Okay. All right. That is an interesting story. All right. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has apparently had enough of the Republican Party. What? The Georgia Republican is apparently not feeling it anymore when it comes to being a Republican. Okay. She told the Daily Mail in a recent interview, quote, "I don't know if the Republican Party is leaving me or if I'm kind of not relating to the Republican Party as much anymore. The course that it's on, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I just don't care anymore."
Oh, no!
You don't care about the Republican Party? Marge, what is going on here? What is going on here? Don't get too thrilled over this. Okay. Now, where is it coming from? What is going on here? Well, Marjorie Greene apparently has taken issue with the White House rescinding Elise Stefanik's nomination for UN ambassador in favor of Mike Waltz. You know, the other Signalgate guy. Okay. In March, The Atlantic revealed that Waltz had added its editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, to a Signal chat in which top administration officials, including Pete Hegseth, had discussed plans to bomb Yemen. Yes. Now, Greene had asked about Waltz. How does he get awarded after Signalgate? She then, of course, answered her own question. She got screwed by Mike Johnson, and she got screwed by the White House. Oh my gosh. Does this mean that she's actually criticizing Donald Trump? No. In fact, she, by White House, she does not mean Donald Trump, and she goes out of her way to say, I'm not criticizing Trump. I'm not criticizing Trump. Quote, I'm not blaming Trump particularly. I'm blaming the people in the White House. Well, isn't that convenient? She added, quote, I think there's other women in our party that are really sick and tired of the way men treat Republican women. I think there's other women, Republican women, and I'm just giving my opinion here, who are really sick and tired of them. Wait, Marge, are you shocked that sexists are being sexist? Really? Wow. Shocker. I mean, look, I gotta know. I gotta note that the Republican Party is the party of get your ass back in the kitchen or start making babies. And yet you're shocked that they don't like women in leadership? Really? Really? Again, Trump himself, okay, defended that, for some reason I can't think of it, Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate! Yeah, the guy who has some serious allegations against him. Trump is like, go ahead and come over to America. That guy. And now you're all like, you know, I got this feeling that Republican men are just not fair to women. Really? Really? But that's not all. Apparently, she's not happy with the way that Republicans have been treating workers, too. She said that the GOP has turned its back on America first and the workers and just regular Americans. She also cited a lack of party support on a number of different issues that she has been trying to make in recent months, saying, I feel like I'm going it alone right now on the issues that I'm speaking about. Well, okay, are you speaking about the workers and regular Americans? What kind of bills are you trying to get through Congress? Well, for one, she's been working on trying to rename the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. Yeah, definitely a high priority there. Trying to make English the official language. Defunding NPR and PBS, which they have already done, so congratulations on that one. And to criminalize weather manipulation. Oh, okay. So you're really there delivering for the workers there, okay? You're really out there delivering for working people, Marge. I mean, come on. Seriously? Once again, this is the party. The Republican Party is not the party of workers. They're the party of trying to crush workers. They're the party of let's lower wages for people. Okay, let's lower the wages and get the kids out into the fields. Okay, let's get the kids and the criminals out into the fields, and the people on Medicaid out into the fields. This is what they're doing. Driving up prices for everyone. And then obviously crushing labor rights too. See, the way to help working people is to actually, help labor unions be able to help, negotiate wages for their workers. But the Republican Party hates that. The Republican Party is like, no, we hate unions. We're going to crush them. We're going to destroy them so that workers don't have any way to negotiate for better wages and working conditions and benefits. No, we're just going to, make the people that are on Medicaid who are already working, we're going to make them get the jobs and drive down wages. Yeah, that's right. So, not only that, she told the Daily Mail on Saturday that she wishes the GOP would renew its focus on curbing foreign aid using the Department of Government Efficiency, which wasted $21 billion. Okay, they didn't save any money. They wasted billions of dollars to slash federal spending, of course, on poor people, decrease the national debt, and combat inflation. She asked, what happened to all those issues? You know that I don't know what the hell happened with the Republican Party. I really don't. Well, I do. I do. They lied. They lied. They never meant a goddamn thing. They lie all the time. They don't care about the debt. They don't care about deficits. In fact, the only party that actually tries to reduce the debt are Democrats. And of course, they do so by joining with the Republicans to do austerity. Yeah, that's right. Both parties in this country do austerity. The only difference is when Republicans do it, they will funnel the savings from their austerity, you know, cutting social programs. They will use that money and funnel it to the rich. This is what they did with the big, beautiful bill. Okay, which Marjorie Greene, I believe she voted for. So there you go. But it is really weird then that Marjorie Taylor Greene apparently is catching on to how the Republican Party just kind of sucks. Yeah. But don't worry, that's not to say that she is going to suddenly wake up and become a burgeoning lefty. No. That's never going to happen. She's an insane person.
Jewish space lasers.
She believes in conspiracy theories. Okay. She is awful, god awful to trans people. I mean, just horrible. And refuses to criticize Donald Trump. She thinks the Democrats are communists. Okay. I talk about not understanding what words actually mean. About the only thing that maybe you could possibly maybe think about giving her credit for is actually more of a failing of the Democratic Party than anything. And that's calling out what's happening in Gaza as a genocide. She's correct about that. A lot of establishment Democrats are too afraid to say that word. She said this last week. It's the most truthful and easiest thing to say that October 7th in Israel was horrific and all hostages must be returned. But so is the genocide, humanitarian crisis, and starvation happening in Gaza. Now remember, this is the very starvation that Netanyahu says isn't actually happening. No, it is happening. It is happening. Look, it's actually pretty easy to say when, you know, you don't have to worry about AIPAC targeting you, okay? You look at the reality here about what's going on in Gaza. It is a genocide. It's ethnic cleansing. And as a nation, our government has supported that role. And for the past couple of years, obviously both the Biden and Trump administration sent money and supplies to Netanyahu and his government so they can carry out this genocide with the support of members of both parties. And that is despite the fact that voters are massively against what's going on there. An April poll from Pew Research Center found that a majority of respondents, including 50% of younger Republicans, these are people under 50 years old, no longer have favorable views of Israel because of what's going on. Now, older Republicans obviously still favor Israel, and so, yeah, you're not going to really budge those people. Still, okay, so only about 23% of older Republicans, 50 plus, have a negative view of Israel. So the vast majority of them are like, oh, yeah, no, it's totally fine. I don't know how you can sit there and look at the images of starving children in Israel, in Gaza, and think, oh, yeah, no, the government's totally fine there. They're doing the right thing. Great. We love it. Woo, starving kids. Why didn't Hamas just release hostages? Yeah, they'll say the same thing, right? Look, every time that there's a prospective deal to release the hostages, Israel either pulls it back or violates the ceasefire every single time, and then blames Hamas. It's their go-to. Hamas did it. Hamas did it. I'm not saying Hamas is good. I'm just pointing out the objective reality. Hamas wants a deal, okay? And yes, they have hostages. and I support a deal to get rid of the hostages in exchange for a ceasefire deal, a permanent ceasefire. That's the conditions. Hamas is like, we will release the hostages. Okay, we still have hostages. We're going to release them if there is a permanent ceasefire and you get out of Gaza. The Israeli government says, no, we don't want to do that. We don't care about hostages. This entire thing is just about us trying to take over Gaza and to kick you all out. It's ethnic cleansing, period. Okay, and look, one of the reasons that Israel keeps doing this is because the leadership, Netanyahu, is fighting for his political life. He is corrupt. He's corrupt. He'd be in prison, okay, without the support of the far right in Israel, the ones that want to ethnically cleanse Gaza. So that's what's going on here. And they're doing so with U.S. support. The establishment is afraid of AIPAC and democratic majority for Israel. And that's the reality. Now, that said, it is very interesting that of all people, Marjorie freaking Taylor Greene is starting to understand what her party stands for, what it's all about. However, if you think that anyone on the left should be allying with her, no. Hell no. Hell no. At the end of the day, she is still an incredibly bad, harmful force in our politics that has a lot of beliefs that are hurting a lot of people. Marjorie Taylor Greene does not need to be allied with. She and her ilk need to be defeated. All right. And there it is. That's all I've got for y'all today. This show went a little longer than it normally does. But if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. I do want to thank Mia Ardell for signing up to become a member over on our YouTube page. You can also become a supporter of the channel by hitting our Patreon page, patreon.com/jeffwaldorf. And you can sign up, help us on Twitch or on Facebook, all these different ways to sign up to support independent progressive media. Let me tell you what, we are going to need a very strong progressive media in order to not just, build things back, okay, as if there's even really an option to build back, what has been lost. So much has already been lost. Too much has been lost. We cannot rebuild that. We must build better. We must actually build something new and better and, maybe take some inspiration from what some of the other countries over in the world have done. Universal healthcare, things like that. So, universal childcare, the pendulum must swing back, or else we will just continue to alternate from fascist to non-fascist until we no longer have a choice. Maybe we don't have a choice anymore. Maybe we don't. Maybe we're too far past that. I don't know. But something has to change. We have to be ready to bring us back to a real progressive future, or else all is lost. And that's what I'm hoping to do. But we need a strong message. We need a strong progressive movement that has been, that will be built. We need that. And for that, we do need people who, and I hate to say myself, right? But yeah, we do need people like myself and other creators on the left who are actually willing to call out the issues, who are actually willing to give you real information. And to not bow to pressure from the right wing. And so that's what I'm trying to do for you. And that's what I'm trying to build here. and we need your help. We need you to sign up and support independent progressive media because, we need that voice. We need more voices like us, like myself and like many others, to be able to do what we're doing here. And so please sign up, become a patron, become a member, help independent progressive media, and help us try to build a better future. Okay. With that said, thank you all for joining me. Like and share, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody. Love you, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.